G'day, and welcome to episode 1, part 5 of Masters of the Wild West. If you haven't seen parts 1 to 4 yet, I do recommend checking them out. But to recap, Masters of the Wild West is a series of special episodes where I make Masters of the Universe customs with a Wild West flavour. We've started our first custom figure, Doc Hodgins, based on my buddy Adam from Go Figure. In part 1, we sculpted the custom head. In part 2, we painted the figure. In part 3, we began making custom accessories, starting with his flannel vest. In part 4, we made his gun and his hat. In this episode, we're going to be making some more soft goods accessories, his belt and his surgical apron. First, let's get to work on his belt. It should be easy enough. I've got some vinyl here that should look pretty good. I'm thinking I want to fasten the belt using these little press studs, so it'll be easy to take on and off. And lastly, I want to make some kind of belt buckle, because, you know, cowboys love a good belt buckle. I'm just going to be making this up as I go. I don't think it's going to be too difficult, but we'll see. Alright, let's get to work. So for starters, I'm going to need to figure out a rough length for the belt. I'm just going to wrap a piece of string around his waist and get the length. So a rough length is 100 millimeters or 4 inches pretty much. I've sketched out a few different shapes for buckles so I can pick out which one I like the most. I think I'm going to go with this one. Now originally I'd thought to join the belt at the back like this, but I think if I can incorporate the press studs into the belt buckle, it'd be pretty cool. Maybe I'll be able to pull it off. If not, I can always go back to plan A. So this is the basic plan here. The strap's about 5 inches long, so I can trim off the excess. I'm just going to mark out this pattern onto some vinyl, and then we can cut out the belt. So far so good. Yeah, once I make a buckle for that, I think that's going to look good. So I'm just going to stab through the vinyl to mark where I want to put the press stud. Yeah, so now I just need to stitch on both halves of the press stud. And yeah, should be good. Alright, they're stitched on. I had to do most of that off camera because it was just so fiddly. These things are tiny and slippery. Yeah, let's see how we went. Yeah, that works. I don't really like how proud it's sitting. So I think I'm just going to go back to my original plan and join them at the back, because otherwise by the time I put a buckle on the front there, it's going to stand out quite far. So yeah, like it's not too bad, but yeah, I think I'll like it better the other way in the end. It was a worthy experiment. Okay, so I cut a new pattern and I cut a new belt and I've stitched the press studs on, and you can see it's a pretty good fit. So now I need to make up a buckle and then I'll just glue it to the vinyl. Yeah, should look cool. Alright, to make the buckle I'm going to be using some Sculpting. Once I'm happy with what I've got, I'll cast it in resin and then it can be painted up and glued onto the belt. I was looking around for something to cut out a nice oval shape, and eventually I found this Skittles container. You may recognize this container from my Stoned video. Just goes to show you never know what's going to come in handy. I think this oval here is going to be just about the size I want, so let's see if I can use that to cut out the Sculpting. Yeah. probably a little bit bigger than I originally intended, but I think that's going to be good enough. Obviously I had to mangle it a little bit to get it out. I might try wetting it first and then cut the Sculpey. Hopefully I won't have to pry this out again. That worked. I just wet it slightly, and once I'd cut the shape, I turned the box over and just flicked it, and yeah, it fell right out. So now I've got a nice little oval that I can sculpt into something resembling a belt buckle. Wish me luck. It's a little bit bigger than I intended. As it flattened out, the overall size of it kind of expanded. I tried to keep it within dimensions as much as I could. I think it should be okay. I'm just going to go bake this and we'll see how it goes. Alright, I may have burnt it a little, but for all intents and purposes it will do the job. I've just got to give this a bit of a sand up and then we'll make a mold. Actually, on second thoughts, you know what? It's too big. I think I'm going to have to try again. That was really tricky working around the camera, but that should do. Let's go bake it and see if I don't burn this one. Yeah, I didn't burn it this time. Actually, I didn't use an oven at all. Just as a fun experiment, I just sat this on top of the fireplace for a couple of minutes, and yeah, it's now set nice and hard. So if you're only making thin things out of Sculpey, you can probably get away with just putting them on a hot plate or something. Yeah, happy days. Anyway, let's give this a sand up and then we'll make a mold. Yeah, that looks heaps better. I'm very glad that I decided to make a smaller one. The other one was just a little too ridiculous. But that looks just about right. Alright, well I guess now it's time to make a mold. Alright, this will be a pretty easy mold to make. I'm going to use a bit of super glue and stick the belt buckle to that paddle pop stick there. Once it's stuck down, I can set it over this bottle top here. That'll keep it nice and flush with the top. Should be pretty straightforward. The silicon set, let's see how we did. Yeah, looks alright. Alright, I'm just going to fill the mold with some UV resin and then cook it in my wife's nail lamp. Thanks, honey.
You're welcome.
Alright, I let that cure for about 5 minutes. Let's see how we went. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Just going to give this a bit of a sand up on the back so it's nice and flat. Yeah, then we can paint it. I found a small bubble in the front of the first one, so I made a second one. That's what I love about UV resin, is it's just so quick to work with. Yeah, no patience necessary. So at first I was thinking of just painting this gold, but then my wife came up with the idea of why don't we try something a little bit fancier. We're going to try to coat this in gold leaf. But first I'll give the back of it a coat of gold paint, seeing as we won't need to be putting foil on the back of it because it just gets glued to the belt. Alright, now that paint's dry, we can try this gold leaf stuff out. I've never used it before, so yeah, we'll see how we go. Basically, I just need to paint the buckle with this Mod Podge, wait till it goes tacky, then I should be able to stick the gold leaf to the buckle. Yeah, fingers crossed, wish me luck. The Mod Podge wasn't quite sticky enough, and basically I just made a mess. So I'm going to try this clear liquid glue instead, and we'll see how we go. Okay, that one was working a bit better, but I still wasn't happy with how it was looking. So I'm going to try something else. I'm going to go with this paint pen. I might see if I can just get some gold foil on the 2 rings there. Yeah, let's try that. Alright, that's looking pretty good as it is. Probably doesn't need the gold foil. It's just, now that I've kind of failed at it, I really want to do it. It actually looks kind of cool. I might foil the outer ring and the 2 little rivety bumpy things there. I think it makes it just kind of look like the raised edges have been burnished from wear. Well, that was an absolute pain in the keister, but it looks pretty cool. Yeah, it was not a very easy process. I had to go over it and over it a bunch of times until I got it good enough. And my room is now covered in little scraps of fake gold foil. I'm going to be finding that stuff for years, I betcha. Now for the finishing touch for the buckle. Since Doc Hodgins is a proud son of the great nation of Canada, I've decided I want to put a little maple leaf in the center. I drew these up on the computer and printed out. I've got a few different sizes here so I can pick the best one. Just going to cut one out with a hole punch, glue it in, and I'll fill up the center part with UV resin. And then to finish it all off, I'm going to coat the whole thing with UV resin so it'll protect it and it won't knock all this foil off that I've spent so much time and effort into sticking on. First try. Yeah, the old metal punch is not the ideal tool for the job, but it's what I got. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. The resin leached into the paper a little bit there, but I actually quite like that. It makes it look a little more weathered. Now I'm just going to coat the rest of the buckle with some resin. Yeah, then we can glue it onto the belt. Alright, that looks pretty cool, I think. Yeah, I like it. Now I'm just going to use some araldite and I'm going to glue the buckle onto the belt. Alright, that looks pretty damn good if I do say so myself. Let's chuck it on the figure and see what it looks like. Yes, I like it. I reckon it looks sick. Yeah, very happy with that. Alright, so the last thing I want to do with this belt is I want to make a little holster for Doc's gun and sew it on to the belt here. The gun can just hang down here behind the leg. I think that makes the most sense. Yeah, that way it won't impede any movement or anything like that. Should be cool. Alright, after some mucking around, I've eventually come up with a bit of a pattern here for the gun holster. So all I need to do is mark this out on a piece of vinyl and cut it out. Right, now that it's cut out, I'm going to super glue this seam up here. I don't think I'll bother trying to sew it once it's stuck together. Then we can stitch these tabs onto the belt. I might cheat a bit and use a bit of super glue just to get it located. Then I'll pull the belt off and stitch this on so that it definitely won't fall off. Well, that looks pretty good. Let's see how we go. Yeah, that is perfect. Love it. A belt worthy of the name. Yep, that's definitely a win. Alright, that's the belt sorted. Now let's get to work on Doc's medical apron. So the apron is going to be much simpler. He's going to have a strap that goes over the back. It'll come down under his neck, out to the other side, under his armpit. And then there'll just be a strap that wraps around him. And again, I'll put the little press studs at either end of the strap. And there'll be a press stud on the back strap that'll line up with somewhere on the back. Yeah, fairly basic. I'll do some mucking around and work out a pattern. Alright, I've got a rough template made up. Let's mark up some vinyl and cut it out. That's not looking too bad. Because this is a fairly thick upholstery vinyl, it tends to hold its shape a bit, so it's not quite sitting how I would have liked. All in all, it's not too bad. I was looking for some sort of a pleather or something a bit lighter, but my local craft shop didn't have any, so yeah, we're making do. Okay, so I've just cut a bit of a strap that'll wrap around his body. Just going to go around the front here, just make a few slits in the apron, feed the strap through, then you just wrap it around his body, and then we'll put the press studs in to hold it closed. Should work. Actually, I think if I double up on those slits, it'll pull around the body better. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that looks heaps better. Much happier with that. Alright, that's the snaps on. Yeah, let's see how we went. Yeah, it's not too bad. By cutting the slits in the side here, it's actually relieved that pressure across the front. So yeah, it's sitting a lot better than I thought it was going to. It's easy to clip together. And it even still fits when he's got his belt on and the gun holstered. So yeah, pretty happy with that. And just as a finishing touch, I want to paint a little red first aid cross on the front. I think that'll look good. I've just drawn this cross on a bit of masking tape, and yeah, I'll just stick that on and paint it, and when it's dry I peel the tape off and it should leave us with a fairly decent red cross. Right, moment of truth. Yeah, that looks pretty good. A little fuzzy around the edges, but I think I can tidy that up later. And there we have it. That's all the time we have for this episode. Doc Hodgins is really coming together now. He's almost finished. In the next episode, we're going to be making the last couple of accessories, so make sure you tune in. I do hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please leave a like, leave a comment, give the old algorithm a tickle. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon in episode 1, part 6 of Masters of the Wild West.